Hey, what's up everybody? It's A-Bomb here, and how you guys doing this afternoon? Alrighty then. Alright, so this is a list I have not particularly been looking forward to doing, but here we are. Obviously, this list is not something that is typically up my alley, but I have actually been doing the research, and I have compiled um a list of. It was originally supposed to just be the top 10 most disturbing anime, but I realized that I also have a top pick for every like disturbing death in the anime, so I went ahead and made this list. Any like besides yeah, English. Anyway, we're gonna get into the list because I am trying to make this one a little bit quicker. So we're gonna get into number 15, which is the anime Elfen Lied, and the death that I picked for the most disturbing in this anime is Kisaragi, the secretary. The only reason that I picked this is because it is, whereas you kind of do like see the soldiers get massacred, it is one of those the first deaths where it's like, okay, so this girl can just kill anybody then. She has absolutely no remorse about, like, well, are they armed or not? Because the soldiers, like, they were armed and would likely, and they did start shooting at her, but likely would have started shooting at her anyway. Kisaragi, however, was not armed or dangerous, and yet she met a brutal end just the same. That's why I decided to put that on the list. I'm not going to talk too much about the anime themselves, because I haven't seen most of these. I'm going to be honest. I had to do a lot of research for this list. Out of these, I've seen like 3, I think. Yeah, 3. So I couldn't really talk about them properly. That's why I'm being a little skipped on the details. Anyways, we're gonna move on to number 14, which is Redo of a Healer is the anime, and the death that I picked for that is Blade. Blade had a pretty far fall from grace, from Sword Hero, that and being a you know, a lesbian, to spending her last moments desperately trying to entertain men, just to live, only to be driven mad by the process and being devoured alive by said men. Yeah, I get that that's a pretty far step up from a decapitation, but honestly, Redo of a Healer is a pretty disturbing anime all in all, and this is one of the ones I haven't even seen, but everything that I have like heard about this anime has been disturbing. Not just in terms of deaths, but like its sexual content is just out there. So yeah, Redo of a Healer is definitely a disturbing anime to say the least. We're gonna move into number 13, which is Demon Slayer, and the death that I picked for this is actually like a list of deaths, not specifically, but like that small little band of demons that Muzin decided to kill because he was displeased. Yeah, they suffered immensely, and it just kind of goes to show that demons, especially that demon, can be quite ruthless and overall not really care about like friend, foe. It doesn't matter. If you're an obstacle, you're on the menu. we are going to move into number 12, which is one of the anime I have actually seen. This is Brynhildr and the Darkness, and this is kind of like what showed me the dark side of harem anime. Anyone that knows, like, I was obsessed with the harem anime when I first started watching anime. Obviously, you're in the raging hormones phase of your life, and anyway, this one threw me for a loop because most of them were cheesy, lighthearted, goofy, ecchi, and mostly like predictable. This one threw so many surprises at me with the surprise deaths and the gore factor and the intensity of the storyline. And one of the things that made it really sad was one of the not only like a sad death but also a disturbing death. Kodori Takatori. I don't know if I said her name correctly, and it's kind of bad. I've seen the anime, but I also I haven't seen it in a long time. This was like back when I was in the really big harem watching era, but again, without getting too much into the anime, the death was really sad. I have seen like the other characters get melted before, and I had debated putting another character on this list, but given that you went through the whole anime getting to know Kodori, only for her to melt right before your eyes, that it just took the cake. And don't get me wrong, there were a lot of deaths that I considered putting on this list. Brynhildr is one of those anime that's like unnecessarily brutal, but Kodori took the cake in my my book. By the way, I've been, and I'm sorry for this interjection, but I will be doing at the end this thing I've been seeing a lot of like kill count people do. So you've got like your really good weapon and then your really bad weapon, which I'll come up with something before the end, but yeah, it'll be like the best kill versus the worst kill, which obviously the worst kill will still be a pretty gory kill, but it'll be like a I guess. Anyway, just that little interjection. I'll probably do that when I do the honorable mention. But we're going to move into number 11, which is Jujutsu Kaisen. Honestly, I did not expect the anime to be as gory as it was, and it's not one of the ones I've seen. I had debated watching it. I have seen a couple fight scenes from it, and it looks pretty amazing. But again, like, I'm not a big fan of like the over reliance on gore. And there's a lot of gore, it seems like, in this anime. But that's only a small percentage of it, and I could definitely overlook it. I did with Brynhildr, and Jujutsu Kaisen just honestly seems like an anime that's worth it. The death that I'm going to give the place to on this is Junpei, because not only was it sad, but it was also kind of twisted to watch him get turned into a monster only to like then be killed. It was just so sad, so heartbreaking. And I know, like, you're probably thinking, like, how is it heartbreaking for you to watch, to know? I did like envelop in these anime a little bit. Like, I did a little bit of a read. That's why it took me so long to do this list. I actually had to read to do it. I didn't want to take the time to actually watch through the whole anime, but I'm a pretty fast reader, so I did like a Spark Notes. And yeah, I did kind of get the emotional gut punch of Junpei being just done so dirty. We're gonna move into number 10, which is an anime called Another. Basically, if you're looking for Final Destination as an anime, you've got Another. with another one of the earliest deaths that you will see. Is also one of the most brutal. Yukari Tsukuragi, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, is one of the more likable characters that they show early on. She starts off by asking if she can walk home with a boy she has a crush on, and shortly after perishes, after learning about the fact that she is going to be on the chopping block, potentially, and freaking out, she tries to run away, only to slip on the stairs while carrying an umbrella, and as corny as it sounds, she falls on the pointy end of the umbrella, neck first, obviously killing her. But not instantly. That's the kind of screwed up thing. You can see her hand twitching for a minute, implying that she actually had a little bit of life in her before she either suffocated or bled out from the injury. It's a hell of a way to go. Not terribly realistic. Again, it's kind of like Final Destination. It's very unlikely that somebody would actually die from a method like this. More likely the umbrella would have snapped, or like there wouldn't have been such a pointy end on it, or something of the sort. But obviously, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do for a unique horror kill. So we're gonna move into number 9, which is Chainsaw Man. And I'll be honest with you, I could not find one death that stood out more than the other, because really, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the biggest, like, horror franchises for a reason, because chainsaw kills are just brutal. So I gave the official spot to basically just anything that Denji kills, because goddamn, man, death by chainsaw is just what a hell of a way to go. We're gonna move right into another of the anime that I have seen. This is technically a duo anime. It is Chaos Head, and then the following series, Chaos Child. The death that I took was from Chaos Child, which also happens to be the death of a child. The death of Yui Tachibana was an emotional gut punch, and obviously it was very disturbing. Whereas it does happen off screen, unlike most of these deaths, the fact that you get to see Yui's decapitated head it's bad enough, and the fact that, you know, the mental toll that goes along with it, because, and this is a huge list of spoilers, so if a spoiler alert wasn't already like needed, then I'm gonna throw one in right now, because this is a bit of a plot thing. But Yui is murdered by a mind-controlled Shinji. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Mind-controlled Shinji, and Shinji has to live with the fact that he killed Yui while under said mind control with the rest for the rest of his life. It was a very disturbing moment in the anime, and the anime overall has a darker theme. I wasn't quite sure how they was gonna make it any darker, but they did. They managed to pull it off by killing a little girl. We're going to move into number 7, which is yet another anime that I've seen on the this list. Oh, I guess I've seen 4. My bad, I miscounted, because there's another one on here that I've seen, but Danganronpa. So this one, I gave the kill to, I actually gave it to 2, or technically 3 characters. I'll get into that, but none of them actually come from the anime. So like, this is technically like a wrong pick. If I had to do one from the anime, it would be Leon Kawada. So you could technically say I picked 4 people for the spot, but the one I really wanted to give it to was Danganronpa V3. Kaede Akamatsu was the right combination of, it was disturbing, it was emotional, and it was surprising. It came out of nowhere, and it was, I don't know, it was everything you could really want in a Danganronpa execution. That being said, hashtag like Kaede should have been protagonist. But anyway, I also decided to give this spot to a fan-made execution that I've seen because it just stuck with me so much that I couldn't let it go. Hibiki and Kaede, and I'm not going to try to say the last name because good lord, but they're a set of twins from a fan game called Danganronpa Another 2. I'm not going to get into why or how, why they were executed, only how. So, to be honest, I can't tell the difference between the twins. I've never played the game myself. I've only seen the clip of the execution, but one of the twins, well, I should probably start off with, you know, the chain that's kind of like hooked to one person and another person, and like you can only go out so far depending on the person. Well, both the twins are hooked to this chain and they want to get to a key. However, there's only so much chain. One of the twins isn't going to be able to get up to the key. They're going to have to stay behind while the other one gets up to the key. Both twins try racing for it. However, one of the twins, I'm assuming that it is the more psychotic of the ones, ends up beating the other twin with a microphone in the head and running up to get the key, only to figure out that unlocking the thing only decapitates you, and the other twin then has the floor drop out from under her, leaving her to hang with the chain still wrapped around her neck. It is a very brutal way to go out. It was very disturbing, stuck with me a lot, and I could go on and on about like Danganronpa executions and deaths that really stuck with me. But again, I am trying to make this list a little bit quicker, so I am going to move on to the number 6 spot, which is Jason from Tokyo Ghoul. Now, the reason that I gave this spot to Jason is simply because it is really you getting to see Ken really come into his character, like really give into that inner ghoul, and it also shows like just how far you can push somebody into becoming the monster. That's all I'm going to say about Tokyo Ghoul. We're going to move into number 5, which is Parasite. And I gave the death, and I know it's kind of lackluster given that most of these are actually disturbing deaths. It's not so much of a disturbing death, so much as just a sad one. Kana Kishishima from Parasite dying in the main character's arms. It was a very sad and tender moment. It just left you like with this hole in your heart, and also kind of let you know like there is no room for love in this world. We're gonna move into an anime that, I'm not gonna lie, oh my, this anime is gory. This is, oh my god, Goblin Slayer, man. And I couldn't get this, like Danganronpa, this is one of those ones that just, it had so many that I couldn't just give it to one, so I gave it to one situation. The situation that I picked was the situation where warrior and mage both died. The fighter was taken advantage of, and priestess only barely managed to yeah, it was brutal. I was originally only gonna give this to warrior because I did consider his death more brutal than mage's. Mage did go through hell, and that's why I decided to put her on here too, because she is no less deserving of the spot. But the fact that warrior was beaten so far to death, to the point where they couldn't even retrieve his corpse, that was bad. That was really, really bad. At least mage kind of like got to pick how she died, in a sense. It wouldn't have been like the death that she picked, I guess, but like in the ending moments she did ask Goblin Slayer to take her out. So it's not like, you know, she got done in by goblins or whatever. She got to pick, alright, I want him to do it. So at that's where I went with this, but I could have picked so many people on this list. Goblin Slayer is just, man. We're gonna move into number 3, which is a Kame ga Kill, and this is this is where you start getting into like, okay, so there's a lot of characters that die brutally, and then just about every character dies brutally. This is the case with the Kame ga Kill. Almost every single member of Night Raid meets a very painful and brutal death. However, I gave the top spot of that to Chelsea. The reason being, they really let Chelsea grow on you despite having very little screen time, only to have her not only die, but to have her be decapitated and have her head set on a spike in the middle of town as an example to the rest of Night Raid, letting them know this is going to be you. Chelsea's death, like, I had to take a break from a Kame ga Kill for a minute, and I had to do that a lot. I had to do it with Labak's death, I had to do it with Shell's death, I had to do it with Chelsea's death. I would have done it with Susanoo's death, but like, I don't know, it happened so fast, I couldn't tell if Susanoo actually died or not. But yeah, a Kame ga Kill was just full of heartbreaking and like disturbing deaths, but an anime that manages to pull off even more heartbreaking and more disturbing deaths is Attack on Titan. And Attack on Titan kind of gives you those zombie vibes, and the fact that anyone can go at any time besides maybe your main central 3. And boy, do they take advantage of this. Now, whereas I could have like done with Kana and picked the sad death that I had in mind, like Sasha, because let's be honest, like Sasha's death broke my heart, and I seen like a little bit of Attack on Titan. Kame ga Kill is the other one I had seen, by the way. But I've seen a little bit of Attack on Titan, not enough to actually count it as I've seen it, but I fell in love with Sasha, and figuring out that she dies, and just such a lackluster way too. Getting shot, one gunshot from a little girl, it was just so, man. But no, Sasha is not who I picked for it. Mike Zacharias. I think I'm saying that right. Mike Zacharias. Whatever. Mike. You can't tell me. You cannot tell me that you thought that this guy was going to be number one if you saw Attack on Titan. And to be honest, he was almost number one, if not for the fact that, like, this next one is kinda... You'll see why I picked this next one for number one. But, I mean, for fuck's sakes, dude. Mike was left with nothing. All of his gear was taken away, and instead of getting like a quick and brutal death, not quick and brutal, a quick and like painless death, just like by a brutal swing or whatever. Nope, he is left to be eaten by not one, but I believe it was 3 Titans that ripped him apart. It was, yeah, sorry, PTSD moment, like I was reliving the death, because what really sold this moment, the voice acting, as the dude is getting like ripped apart in 3, because from what I've seen, his lower half, his upper half, and his head were all being eaten at once. And he got like ripped in 3. From what I can like remember and what's not being blocked out by just the small part of my brain trying to remain human and sane. It was god awful. That's all I can say. We're gonna move in to the number 1 spot, and you might wonder, what could be more brutal than being ripped apart and eaten by 3 Titans? Well, dying repeatedly throughout the course of 4 different adaptations of the anime When They Cry. Rika dies in every single one, if I'm not mistaken, and boy, dude, she can have some brutal ones. The thing about When They Cry is, like Akame ga Kill, you get to see almost every one of the main characters die. Only, unlike Akame ga Kill, you get to see them die multiple times because of a like confusing and convoluted plot. So you don't just see Rika die once. You get to see her die. Well, to be quite honest, I don't know how many times she died. Let's see. Let's see. At least I think I've got the right one. Rika. Yeah, okay. So she dies many times, but I couldn't pick between these 2. There are 2 deaths in particular of hers that just made me these are the moments that like make you want to squirm in anime. Rika stabbing her own neck. She slams a knife into the wall and then proceeds to like bash her own neck off the knife. Brutal, disturbing, uncalled for. The other one being when she has her face smashed in by a pan full of frying oil. Between the pain of the oil, the pain of being like bludgeoned, and then of course the actual death that follows, that was just so unnecessarily brutal. Why? Why? I mean, just why? Overall, When They Cry is just a total mindfuck of an anime. So that is my list of the 15. Normally, I do my honorable mention either at the very beginning or before the number 1 pick, but I decided to leave it to the after the number 1 just in case you guys wanted to get out of here before hearing this, because there's so much disturbance in this. Overlord, the entire party of Foresight is brutally massacred by Ainzul Gon and friends. Since I can't pronounce almost any of the members of Foresight's names, and I have seen Overlord, but they didn't have enough screen time for me to like memorize the pronunciation, I'm just gonna kind of go with stereotypes. So you got the scoundrel, the main girl, the priest, and the wizard girl. That's what we're going with. All 4 of them died. And in the manga, however, I would like to point out that the priest and the mage girl actually did survive. That was not the case with the anime, however. The scoundrel met his end to Ainzul Gon personally, but if you thought that was a brutal way to go, then you might want to check on the other 3. The other girl, after being killed, and since there wasn't like a real stereotype I could stick with her, I just went with other girl. She, after being killed, her organs were taken out, and her voice box was given to the spider girl so she could speak, and I believe what was left of her was fed to the bug children. The priest was taken to be experimented on until his demise. Possibly like very brutal. I did do the research. It is confirmed that he died, but I don't know like how long after he was taken for the experiments. That was, man, this guy could have been suffering for a very long time. And the mage girl was eaten by Shalltear Bloodfallen, who I love, but that was a scene that made me like, okay, like, kind of makes me question my morals here. So that was the list. I've got the squirms now. I've got to go smoke and like calm my brain. If you liked this, please give it a like. I usually don't ask for that, but like I had to do a lot to do this list. So at least give me a like here. I wouldn't even ask you to like comment because I'm left speechless as it is. So but honestly, you probably don't expect more content like this in the future, but I might do more top 10 lists or something like that. You never know. Actually, I'll make a deal. I'm not big on this, but you know what? Hey, if you guys are that twisted, if this video reaches 50 likes, then I will rank all of the deaths and When They Cry throughout the entire series, from brutal to, from just, okay to straight out brutal. Am I looking forward to that? No, but you do what you gotta do for the fans, man. I'm Avon Clark. Hasta la pasta. See you later. I hope you have a fantastic night. I am going to sign off. before I get even more like worse on this.